Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing another watercolor piece for my sketchbook. This time I'm going to be painting a little elf. But before we get into all of that, I would like to give a shout out to Lexi Farley 844, who's the comment of the week. Thank you so much for your comment. I really like reading all's comments, and if you would like to be the comment of the week, all you have to do is comment under any video. That could have been you. I also have a Patreon and an Etsy shop, and I'm testing out commissions on coffee, so if you would like to get like a really cutesy profile pic for me, you can commission me over on there. But anyways, let's just go ahead and get into this. I watched one of I'm a Wonder's videos the other day, and I was really paying attention to how she was painting faces in particular, and it made me remember how I used to watercolor paint faces, because it was pretty similar, like putting down a base color for the skin tone and then going over with a blush color and then adding shading and stuff just by layering, which I kind of got away from doing that, mostly because I forgot. Oopsie. And I forgot because I just stepped away from watercolors for a long while and was mainly working digitally, so that's my bad. Since I had changed up how I painted watercolor stuff, I felt like, especially recently, some of my watercolor paintings haven't looked the way that I want them to look, or look the way that they used to look. After I watched I'm a Wonder's video, I knew that I had to try again to see if I could replicate how my watercolor pieces used to look. I used to do a bunch of watercolor paintings, and it used to be, I wouldn't say I worked with it exclusively, but it was one of my most used art supplies. So I really want to get back into watercolor painting a little more often, and I also wanted to add some more color to my sketchbook, so I used the same technique / idea that I used with the first page of my sketchbook, where I took a piece of watercolor paper and painted on it as normal and then just glued it into my sketchbook, because my sketchbook does not have the type of paper that works well with watercolors. It's pretty thin. I also just wanted to paint an elf. I used to draw and paint a bunch of elves. I don't know why exactly that was a thing, but they're pretty fun to draw, so I kind of want to get back into doing that as well. Since I was going back and revisiting old techniques, I figured I would also go back and use the same pencil that I used to use for liner, which is the Prismacolor Premier in the color Indigo. I used to use it for my liner all the time. More recently, I've gotten into using ballpoint pen for my watercolor. It works really well, and I really like it, but I also kind of wanted a softer line art look for this particular drawing. Maybe I should have used a different color than Indigo, but it was for old time's sake. I had to use it. I've also been really into drawing really long, flowy, curly hair in my sketchbook, so I also want to incorporate that into this particular drawing. And I also kind of felt like I should add flowers, and I'm just gonna say she's like a flower elf or something. I don't know. And I kind of also knew that I wanted to use purple in this particular piece. That was like the only color that I knew I wanted to use. I didn't have any other ideas for the color palette. It did end up working out, but that's risky business, just going in and not having an idea for the type of color palette I'm going to use, especially when working traditionally, because digitally I can always change something, but traditionally you gotta commit. And fortunately it did work out, but that's quite risky. As you saw, I laid down a flat color for the skin tone, and I'm going over with a blush color. I'm definitely going to be doing it this way from here on out, because it gives me the look that I want for my watercolor pieces. Lately, I feel like my paintings have been looking a little muddy and a little overworked, and I think it's just because that's exactly what I was doing, overworking them with all these different unnecessary layers. It doesn't require all that, especially, like I said, for the look that I'm going for. My shading style is fairly simple. It's not like super realistic or anything, so I just need flat color, blush color, shading. That's it. I don't need all these different colors, because I would do like the yellow, the pink, the blue in different areas of the face. A little unnecessary for what I'm going for, so I'm gonna stop doing that traditionally, because I still do it digitally because I love how it looks digitally, but it's not necessary for watercolor pieces, at least mine. I also used to use lifting in certain areas, like if I felt like some areas need to be a little lighter for highlights and stuff, I would go over with my brush just dipped in water and just kind of remove some of the pigment there. Also something I haven't been doing recently. I've just been forgetting. I just forgot how to paint with watercolors, which, like I said, it's just because I took a long break from it. Unintentionally, I just kind of forgot about it and was just working digitally. The iPad did it to me. As soon as I got the iPad and suddenly the option of drawing finished pieces in bed was given to me, I forgot everything else existed. It is super convenient though, so I'm not angry at the iPad, but I will blame my problems on it. Like I mentioned earlier, I knew that I wanted to use like a purple color for this piece, and initially I was going to use it for her blouse, but somehow she ended up with purpley pink hair. I don't know how it happened, but I'm not mad at it. I do like it. The only thing that I don't like about this piece is the color that I chose for the flowers. I chose like a golden yellow color, and that kind of goes back to what I said earlier about I did not plan out the colors for this as much as I should have, so I can't even be mad at it. I think I should have gone for like a mauve-y color for the flowers, something darker than her hair with a little more pink maybe. That's what I should have gone for. I could go in and fix it digitally, but it wouldn't be the same. I've never been the type of person to like go and fix my traditional pieces digitally. I've done it like a few times, and just something in me is just like, this feels illegal. So I don't like to do that if I can avoid it. Plus, this is just going in my sketchbook, so it doesn't have to be super perfect. For the leaves, I decided to get a little fancy and try some glazing. So I laid down like a base color. I think it was like a yellow ochre type color. And then I went over it and did like some line art with a darker brown color. And then I went over it with some washes of green to kind of green them up a little since they are leaves. Her necklace is supposed to be... Initially, I was just going to do like a necklace made out of leaves, but I decided to add the flower in the middle. Looking back at it, maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I should have made the flower smaller because it looks just a touch obnoxious in my opinion. I also used that yellow ochre for her blouse and also for the background. For the background, I left that color flat, but I went over the blouse with some green to make it the green top that I wanted. I feel like I should have evened out the background just a little bit because there's like a place right above her head where the paint pooled because the paper was warping, and it's bothering me just a little bit, but I won't fix it, so it has to stay there. I really like the shading on her blouse, which me liking the shading on clothing that I've drawn is quite rare because I tend to spend quite a bit of time on the face, a little less time on the hair, and even less time on the clothes when it comes to the shading. It's not one of my favorite parts, and like once I've finished the face, then it's like I've done it. So why do I need to shade the rest? But I had to. I couldn't just leave that flat, especially since I didn't even make it the color that I wanted. I had to add the color that I wanted. I like tricked myself into doing it. And then I went and I worked on the flowers. Like I said, I don't like how they turned out. Let's not talk about the flowers, actually. If you don't take anything else from this video, I want you to take this. If you love to paint with watercolors, you need to get something to dry the paints so you don't have to wait for each layer to dry. Because I used to do that. I used to paint a layer, leave for like 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on how much water I use. Come back, do another layer, leave. It was ridiculous. Or another thing I would do, which I don't recommend, is I wouldn't wait for the layers to dry, and I would just go over with the next one, and then stuff would start bleeding all over the place, and that's not fun either. So I use the Nicole heat tool. That's the one I use. This thing gets really hot though. In fact, it got so hot that it like melted itself, which I feel like that's some type of hazard. But I've heard that you can also use a hairdryer, and you may already have one of those, so use it. It's helpful. I said I was going to talk about the flowers, but we're there, so I kind of have to. The idea that I had was the flowers were going to be like made out of gold or something. And you know, it would make sense because like her necklace has one of the flowers there, so it's like maybe the necklace and the flowers in her hair aren't real. Maybe they're some type of jewelry. And it was also going to match her earrings, which are also supposed to be gold. I mentioned earlier I should have gone with a different color for the flowers completely, but to kind of explain myself, I was trying to make it look like metallic gold. I know how to do that digitally, but I don't know how to replicate that traditionally with watercolors. So yeah, that's where, well, I went wrong choosing that color in the first place, but then I went wrong by not knowing what I was doing. So see, that's the beauty of making things for my sketchbook. It doesn't have to be perfect. I can make as many mistakes as I want, and it doesn't matter because my sketchbook is a place where I can make mistakes and not think things through. Or I can think things through. The point is I can choose. To add some finishing touches, I went over some areas with a Posca pen. I've been really into that lately. It's not finished until I add some Posca pen on there for funsies, especially in the hair. I think it just looks really nice, and it makes some of the strands that maybe got a little lost, especially in the forehead area, it makes them stand out a little more, so it looks really nice. I also tried to fix the flowers with the Posca pen. That's where I really messed up because I grabbed a color that and I keep doing this with this particular color. It looks like it's going to be like a golden yellow type color, but then it's orange. And I just keep forgetting that that's the color that it is, so that is on me. After I finished with the Posca pens, then I went over some areas with a Prismacolor, especially in the cheeks to kind of add some more blush in that area because I felt like it needed a little bit more. I really like how this drawing turned out with the exception of the flowers, and I'm really glad that I watched I'm a Wonder's video because it really helped me jog my memory and remember how I used to paint with watercolors. I even have a tutorial on my channel on how to use watercolors. Maybe I should revisit. If you made it this far in the video, let me know what your favorite little drink is. Mine is a matcha chiller with white chocolate from 7 Brew. So delicious. But anyways, this is how this drawing turned out. I hope you like it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Shout out to my patrons, Merriment Illustrations, Sister55, Kelsey, and a Spooky Rose. Thanks so much for being my patrons. I really appreciate you and everything that you do. Wow. Oh my goodness. Links to all the stuff and coffee in the description if you're interested. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And please enjoy the rest of your day, my peeps.